Recently, I picked up my Switch and I opened up Metroid Prime and I sat down and played it for probably about half an hour to 45 minutes. And to my surprise, I was able to put it down or pick it up and feel completely indifferent about it. If you asked me 10 years prior if I would have been able to do that, I don't think I could have. 10 years prior, when I'm like 15 years old, like I was so inundated with video games and I was so captivated by them that I could never imagine being able to pick something up and put it down easily. Like that wasn't something that I could just conceptualize. And in fact, it scared me. It actually made me sad because I was like, I don't want to outgrow video games. I want to be able to be in high school and, have my friends that I hang out with on Xbox Live every day and play Call of Duty Black Ops 2 with them. Like I really wanted that every single day. And even now I look back and only have good memories of that, But what's really interesting is I kind of had wondered like how the process by which I would outgrow video games was going to come about. And what's fascinating is the fact that like only lately has um a lot of that stuff become more obvious to me. Now I'll give you my story with this, which is only a minute long, but like everybody has their different thing. The short story is just that I ended up getting on a medication that made it so that I could actually put the video games down. I'm taking Strattera so that I can actually function. But however, that being said, that doesn't necessarily mean that like the nature of how I outgrew the video games was a linear, transparent thing. So for anyone under the age of, let's say, 18, 19 years old, no, there isn't a magical point where the games that you're playing suddenly, I would say, become boring, with the exception of some kinds of games that are either escapes or addictive or have some kind of long-term goal, right? So like games like maybe Minecraft and Hollow Knight and Metroid that are like these single player adventure games, being immersed in that kind of world and sort of that place, like I used to feel like I um I didn't want that I didn't want to not be interested as a kid in that kind of world. But over time, video games changed, and they've now moved into things like battle royales. We have Fortnite, Apex Legends. We have more competitive games that are like Valorant is a huge one. Rocket League is pretty big, right? And so games, just video games as a whole, have changed, and as a result of that, our willingness and intrigue to play these games has changed as well. And so what's interesting is that as we grow up, and we turn into adults, like video games as kind of the main one that I used to think about. I used to think I was going to outgrow video games and didn't. And the reason I didn't personally was, I think, because of the fact that around college, I found a video game that made it so that I was actually escaping, which was just League of Legends. I've said that in my most recent video, but I started playing League of Legends, and so I was able to just escape, right? Well, what we sometimes don't understand when we're kids and we're like 14 years old, like we're doing it, but we don't know that we're doing it, and we don't know how not to do it. But some of us, when we're younger, let's say ages like 8 to 14, when we play video games, we're actually escaping. Maybe escaping from loneliness because we want to, have a relationship in high school and we're struggling. We're escaping from the pain of like home life. It sucks and we just want to play games and forget about it, right? And we don't actually understand that we're sort of building up this sort of like desire to get away, but to escape to something instead of fixing the problem. Because when we're 8, we can't fix the problem. If mom and dad are fighting upstairs and I'm 8 years old, how on earth am I going to fix that problem? I go downstairs and say, hey guys, stop fighting. Like, I don't want to get the belt, And so how do I handle that? I escape. So I put on headphones and I go play like Call of Duty, and I say, we're not going to worry about this. And then maybe I even sort of act out and take out my anger on my, Modern Warfare 2 lobbies, which I'm sure many people have fond memories of, but it's like that's sort of what we would do as kids. But there comes a point, unfortunately, where things become expected of us that we're supposed to do as we mature and grow up, but we never really get the chance to like go attack those things head on, and we don't really have good direction or guidance or a good idea on what we're supposed to be doing. And so because of that, we never actually outgrow the ability to withstand the escapism involved. You see what I'm saying? So like when that escapism calls to us as we get older, we're never actually put into environments where we're going, hey, what are we escaping from hey, let's actually deal with that. That's not something that ever happens to us as kids, especially with parents that either don't know what's happening or parents that escape themselves. See, so our parents can't show us how to do that. And so we never as we grow up, we don't outgrow parts of our childhood because we don't even know that those parts of our childhood are there. Like, we don't even know that, like, being able to, like, this is kind of one of the things that happens where we grow up and we still feel like a kid at like 20, 23, 25 years old. We still feel like a kid because we still have these like aspects to ourselves that we haven't fully realized that we're still escaping from, and we never had guidance from maybe our family or our parents or peers or loved ones on how to handle those things, and so we just keep escaping. And so we don't feel like we fully matured. We don't feel like we've actually hit adulthood at like 23 and 25. I didn't. Like, I got married at 21, 22. No, 20. I got married at 20. No, I was 22. I got married at 22. My wife was 20. And it was like, I still felt like a kid. And then I worked another 2 years at the job I worked at and then got a different job, still felt like a kid. I looked in the mirror and was like, that's an adult, but I didn't feel like an adult until I started recognizing that I'm escaping from things that I shouldn't escape from. And I started to choose to try to take responsibility for the things that I shouldn't escape from. Only then did I start to feel like a grown up. And like, that's a weird thing to say, but it's true, at least for myself. And it's not a thing you do in a day. So you can't set unrealistic expectations of yourself to solve all your problems in one day and just start tackling it, and just going, oh yeah, I can do that. Like, it's really hard. Like, imagine a world where you don't feel like playing video games anymore because the things that you're solving every day are the things that are already calling to you, and you don't even have the desire to play anymore because you're like, I'm just doing the things I'm doing every day and I don't need to escape anymore. And I just enjoy the challenge of what I feel like I'm supposed to be doing every day. Like, that's how I think I don't want to say that's how it's supposed to feel, but that's how it feels for me. And it's a really liberating feeling because the sense of fulfillment and reward that comes from that journey is significantly more rewarding in the long term than the short term rush of something like a pentakill in League of Legends. You get a penta in League of Legends, you kill 5 people very quickly, and you're like, there's nothing like that feeling. You're like, oh yeah, that's amazing. Like, your stream's gonna blow up and everybody's gonna watch you and all this. But like, then it wears off after like an hour. I mean, you might remember the high for a day, but then it's gone and you realize that it didn't fix the emptiness of what's still there, and like the things that we're still escaping from. So it's something to consider that, like, if, the challenge is that over time we have to be very careful about whether or not we're fully escaping in a way that is healthy or not. And the longer time goes on, the older we get, if we don't fully finish processing and working through those things we're escaping from as kids, then we risk being 30 and still having them. Being 30 or 40, even worse, 40, yeah. And still having all of those unresolved answers and questions and aspects of ourselves that we never fully realized. Being, let's say 19 and, out of high school, you're in college and you're like, I never had a girlfriend and I couldn't cope with that. And so I escape with the fact that I don't know how to get one and what to do and all this stuff. And it's like, having that's like, just as an example, it's like having that like be something that never gets worked through and processed. Like, you could go through your whole life and never fully process that along with tons of other things and start working through that by itself. And it's like, what if instead we started looking at those things and saying, hey, I'm just going to work through this thing I'm escaping from right now, and I'm not going to be good at it. If it involves the process of growing through a skill and improving a skill, then I have to accept that I'm going to suck at it. But something about the process of healing, something about the process of growing that skill or those skills that I feel like I was supposed to develop in order to go a particular path, something about that process is so much more long-term rewarding than just like the short-term rewards that come with escaping. And it's so much more meaningful to go down that path than the path of just another League of Legends pentakill. It's just not worth it.